0.96. So this is my thought process. So as I read the question, I need to write down, or I need to put down somewhere what I understand the question to be. So I'm just doing it while I'm reading the question. So there's a string of numbers we need to loop through as I and j independently. All right. So the string of numbers from character 1 to the end of it. So, and we need to loop through. So let's do a loop for I equals 1 to len. And this would be the string. So actually, before we forget, let's just close it off. And then let's just make sure we're starting at the right point. I row equals 2. And string source equals cells I row 1 value. All right, so that's complete. Now we need a second. I'm going to leave some space there, and you see why. For j equals 1 to len string source, and then we close off the loop. All right. So now the next thing is we need ei and ej, which will be the value in that I position and the j position. So ei equals mid. Now if you didn't know mid function, mid will return, that's a function that returns from that string, sorry, the ith position and 1 character, right? And now we can copy that and use it here for our ej. Why do we copy it? Because we're lazy. All right, so those are our 2 loops that should run without error. Now we come to the fun bit, because this is where we now use the logic. And again, the logic is in the question. It says if I is less than j and ei is greater than ej, then, and we have closed that off. Right, so now if that's true, we need to add it to a counter. So we need to set up a counter. And let's set up the counter here. And let's call the counter int inversion count equals, and we start that with 0. And we're going to take that, and this is our counter being incremented by 1 if that condition is true. That is what the question says. So I'm just writing it down, right? It's like English, isn't it? It's like English, isn't it? I mean, I speak a bit of English. And anyway, so that's it. So we're on row 2, and I think this is complete. Now we need to know what is the value of int inversion count when we run it. So let's test it by putting a message box to see what it is. It might work, it might not work, it should work. Okay, so now we're ready to run it, aren't we? Do you think it'll work? All right, so I'm going to run it, and we're on row 2, right? And presto, look at that, 2. Let's try it one more time with another row. Let's say row, it's a good one, row 6. And what do you think we'll get? 22. Look at that, 22. All right, so it seems to work. We'll try one more, right? Row, it's a good one, row 10. It's a nice big meaty one. There you go, 82. Right, so now we know that it works. We've tested it, we're happy. I'm happy, my mother's happy. We're all happy, right? So we can take this message box off, and then we'll... All right, so now that we know that it works, let's now put it into a loop. So basically we need to start in row 2, and then we need to go row by row down, and we need to stop when it reaches the bottom of that list. So do until cells I row 1 value equals blank, and we want the loop to end here. All right. Now, one thing that you must always remember, and people forget, I don't, I do, is to do that row equals row. Otherwise, before you know what's happening, your code has got stuck in a loop, and your computer or your Excel crashes, and you lost your work. How many times has that happened? Right, so that should work. The one last thing we want to do is we don't want a message box interrupting each loop. We, in fact, want to put the output calculation, what do we call it, into column 3 equals int inversion. I know I could copy and paste it, but I will show you some other time why it is that what I forgot to do. Anyway, I don't want to confuse you. It's another time. Okay, so that should work, except that I've already got that there, which, let's get rid of that. And oops, that should work. You ready for this? You're thinking it won't work, right? I'm thinking it will, but you never know. Okay, let's go. Let's run it. Whoa! All right, so those are the answers we should get, as you can see, and that's all it takes, right? That's all it takes. That's all it took for me, because all I did was read the question, understand the question, understand the logic, and I have to thank the person who wrote the question, because it's written in a very logical form. It actually makes it very easy, because I just simply followed the logic as the question explains it, and then I wrote it down in the way I understood it, right? So I didn't have to do anything else. But I guess, in real life, questions don't come like that. Questions need to be interpreted from all whole mess of stuff, and you got to pick what is important and what isn't in real life. But this is not real life. This is a question that's given on LinkedIn. Okay, so all I've got to say now is that's our job done, I think. And what look, I'd like to understand how other people think, right? I like to understand how other people think. And for me, this is very easy. This was, as you saw, it was a lot of fun, very easy. And I want to understand, it must be just as easy, or even easier, and even more fun for other people who've got other solutions, other results. I want to understand that, right? I want to have fun as well, right? I want to have as much fun as you're having in the way that you're doing it. So please, if anyone's got some time to Zoom with me and show me how the logic works, because I'm interested, right? So thank you very much. Thank you for watching.